Hello, my dear listeners. Today we're going to take a short break from marketing topics and talk a little bit about nonprofit work. I'm going to introduce you today to Ronnie Daniel. He works with Children's First Education Fund. It is a nonprofit here in the state of Utah that awards scholarships to students with disabilities. It's a wonderful program. It's basically a way for business owners as well as individuals to allocate their taxes, state taxes, to this fund, and then the government basically gives you that money back. So it's an interesting program. It's a very worthy cause. They have a very long list of families that are looking to join this program. Basically allows families with disabled children to go to school of their choice. It's a wonderful program. I was really intrigued by it when I met Ronnie a couple of months ago. Ronnie's an interesting fella. He's worked at the Natural History Museum of Utah. He was executive director of the Alzheimer's Association of Utah. He began his nonprofit career working for the Boy Scouts of America for 16 years in California, Colorado, and Indiana. He has a real passion for helping people in need, and his entire career has been in nonprofits. So that's why I wanted to kind of take a little bit of a break. I know we can get a little tunnel vision just talking about marketing and business and all that kind of stuff, which is a good thing. These are all good things. But I also wanted to offer a nonprofit like Children First Education Fund a platform to talk about their cause, how we can get involved, and things like that. So take a listen. I know it's not the normal topics we talk about, but I think it'll benefit you to just learn about this program and see how you can help these kids with disabilities go to school and get the education that they deserve. So with that, let's get started. Welcome to the latest episode of Corner Your Market. I'm your host, Silas Kimide. In this podcast, I talk about all things digital marketing, from website design and development to SEO and PPC, as well as paid advertising, email marketing, social media, and anything in between. If you're a small business owner, a marketing manager in a company, or an entrepreneur, this podcast is for you. So tune in every Thursday at 10 a.m. You'll gain some practical insights, new strategies, tactics, and tools that will help you grow your business. To subscribe, go to corneryourmarketpodcast.com and select the podcast app of your choice. Then you can hit subscribe within those apps. That again is corneryourmarketpodcast.com. Also, don't forget to like and share our individual episodes. You can also leave a review in the app once you've listened to one of our episodes. This episode, I have Ronnie Daniel, who's going to join me. We're going to talk about some nonprofit work that he's doing. I know that normally on this podcast, we talk about business related topics and things like that. And that I personally feel, gives us a little bit of tunnel vision. I think we as business people in business need to be aware of what's happening around us. And I came across Ronnie and his organization a couple months ago at a networking event. And I just really love the cause and the work that he's doing. So I invited him on the podcast to talk about the organization. So thanks for joining us today, Ronnie.
You bet, Shadish. Thank you so much. And I loved the way you talk about focusing on business, because even though we're a nonprofit and we do great charitable work, we'll talk about in this podcast some of the benefits to businesses from a tax saving perspective that you can do in helping focus on our organization, Children First.
That is correct. I forgot to mention that because I remember you mentioning that in the meetings that we had. So,
Yeah.
So just to kind of get started, the Children First Education Fund has been around for a little under maybe 4 years now or something like that. Can you give 4 years? Yeah. Can you give an overview of the organization, the mission, and the type of scholarship support you provide to students with disabilities?
Yeah, so probably to start with, I'll go back to 2019, where the Utah State Legislature passed a bill called the Utah Special Needs Scholarship Opportunity Program. And so this legislation allowed for scholarship funds to be given to kids with disabilities to give them school choice options outside of public school. So the funds can be used in private school or as homeschool setting. The legislation required a third-party nonprofit organization to be selected as the scholarship granting organization. And so Children First was formulated and applied and was selected to be that third party organization. So we administer the Special Needs Opportunity Scholarship program for the state of Utah. The way we raise funds is really unique in that we do regular fundraising from individuals or companies, but the legislation allows us to give a dollar for dollar, 100% state tax credit for donations. So let's say that your company had a $50,000 state tax liability. You can make a donation to Children First in that amount of $50,000, and then we'll give you a tax credit certificate that your tax folks can use when you file your taxes and eliminate your state tax liability by doing that. So if you would rather send your money to the state and let them spend it how they would, keep doing what you're doing. But if you'd rather have your tax dollars go and help kids with disabilities, we're a great option for that.
But that's only for the state tax, right? Not the federal tax that you, just want to make sure.
Yeah, only for the state tax liability, correct.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, and so it's a really unique, we're the only charity in Utah that can provide this benefit to our donors. Okay. Any other charitable donation, you can get a federal deduction, but not a 100% state tax credit.
Interesting. So how would you describe the mission then of the organization?
Yeah, so our mission is really simple. We're all about funding children with disabilities, giving them school choice options. If you were to draw a bell curve of all of the kids in public school who have special needs, probably 75% of them are getting their needs met adequately through public education. But that 25% of kids who are on the fringes aren't getting their needs met. So that might range from kids with severe disabilities who unfortunately kind of get put in the corner of the classroom, and they might have an aide that's working with them, but they're not really doing well academically. And then on the other end are kids who are very intelligent, but who might suffer from ADHD or from anxiety or from autism or something like that. And so they're not really getting their needs met effectively in public school either. And so this scholarship allows students to go outside of public school and use the funds for tuition at a private school or for homeschool students. So our scholarships this school year range from $8,300 to just over $10,000. And so
per student.
Per student. And so it's a sizable enough amount that families can say, they may not even thought that private school would have been an option for their child before.
Yeah.
But the scholarship now gives them funding. And for, I think, 90% of the private schools that we work with, that is equal to or less than the tuition. And so that works out really well. And then for homeschool families, it really gives parents an option. They might not have thought homeschooling their child was an option either, but with a $10,000 scholarship, there's a lot you could do to help your child. And the scholarship funds can be used for a curriculum, for any educational expense, can be used for therapy or tutoring, anything like that your child might need.
Is there a state definition of what qualifies under disability in that situation?
Yeah, there is. And so it's actually a federal definition. So there's a federal law called the Individuals with Disabilities in Education Act. And so it lists about 13 different types of disabilities, anywhere from hearing loss, blindness to autism. Things like anxiety and depression even qualify for a disability. Any kind of a disability that's affecting a child's education. So some types of physical disabilities might not qualify because they don't necessarily affect a student's education ability. But any kind of emotional disturbance, things like that would qualify. Okay. Most students, if they are in public school and they have a disability, they'll have a thing called the Individualized Education Plan, or an IEP. And so if a child has an IEP, they almost always will qualify for our scholarship.
Okay, interesting. Okay. And then in terms of, so that's really the only criteria, right? In terms of being able to apply for the scholarship.
Yeah, they have to be a Utah resident, and they have to be, their age has to be within kindergarten to 12th grade.
Okay.
So we require verification of those two things, and then as well as their verification of their disability. And then the scholarship amounts are awarded based upon where a family falls on the federal poverty level. Okay. And so if a family is below 185% of the federal poverty level, then they would qualify for the higher amount of scholarship. This year, that amount was $10,700. Okay. If they're above that federal poverty level, no matter how far above, they qualify for a lower amount. And this year was $8,560 was the scholarship.
Okay. So it's how many of these scholarships are available?
So it's based upon the funds that we raise. I mentioned tax credit scholarship or tax credit donation that individuals and companies can make. There's no limit in the amount of donations that an individual or company can donate to us, but the state limits our organization in the number of tax credits we can give out. So right now that limit is $5,940,000 that we can give out in tax credits. And so that's our cap. Last year, we raised about $4.1 million, and we're able to award 357 students scholarships with that amount.
How many applicants?
We're required by law. Oh, sorry.
How many applicants do you usually see?
Yeah, so we actually had about 650 applicants. So we awarded 357 scholarships. We currently have about 340 kids on our waiting list that we would love to support. In fact, that's one of the reasons why I was excited that you gave me the opportunity to talk about, because we're trying to raise about $3 million between now and June 30th so that we can award those other kids scholarships for next school year.
Wow.
We'd really love to be able to do that.
Yeah. So what are some, do you have any, people always love to make this more tangible and make it more relatable. Who do you know are there any stories you're able to share of kids that have benefited? How dramatically does a kid's life improve or change based on, the fact that they're now going to a private school with more attention, more care, and things like that?
Right. And I'll give you a couple of examples, but I wish I could to share these examples in the same feeling that the parents do. And so actually, if you go to our website at cfe-fund.org, there's actually a couple of videos on there of stories of families that have been impacted by our scholarship. So watch that. But let me tell you a couple of, we have one family in Nephi that the family has 7 kids, and 3 of the kids are recipients of special needs scholarship. And so in Nephi, there just aren't a lot of resources available. The mom is homeschooling these 3 kids. And so she needed to be able to get to Provo to provide some therapy and services for her families. And so the scholarship now allows her the ability not only to pay for the services, but some transportation costs so she can get her kids to and from Nephi to Provo 3 times a week to get the resources they need. And so that was a life changer for her, because in the small community of Nephi, they just didn't have the resources there. Or there weren't the therapists, there weren't the specialists there in that community to handle.
Yeah, and that's about a 30-40 minute drive. That's about a 30-40 minute drive,
least,
right? Yeah.
We have another family that here in Salt Lake Valley that has 2 daughters that are now able to go to Juan Diego High School and take advantage of some of the great facilities and resources that they have at Juan Diego because of the scholarships that they've received. And so they would never have, it's a Hispanic family, first generation, mom and dad are first generation Americans, and would never have thought that they could have the resources to send their daughters to one of the top private schools in our state. And so that was just a great opportunity for them. And in that specific example, both of the girls are on the spectrum, autism spectrum. And the neat thing was that she saw her daughter's grades go from C's and D's to A's and B's in both of her daughters. Awesome. And just because of the unique individual attention that they're getting there that they weren't getting at public school.
Yeah, it can be quite a daunting process. I know I'm looking at finding some, school choice options for my kids, and just the amount of information that you have to wade through to find the right information. And also when you do a Google search, sometimes you get these websites that they're like scammy, fishy websites, that may or may not be giving these scholarships. They say, enter your name here. So I think you have to be very careful and when you're doing those kind of searches too. So it can make a big difference in a family like that. So what are some of the fundraising? You mentioned a fundraising goal. What are the ways in which you guys are raising your funds right now? I mean, you're just knocking on doors, going through corporations?
Yeah, for sure. Well, we're really focused right now on companies, especially. That's what I wanted to talk about, because we find that a lot of companies don't recognize the opportunity they have to get this tax credit, and so there's many companies out there who want to have a social impact. And, I'll use an example. There's a couple of banks that donate to us and we're working with. Banks are required they have a CRA responsibility where they have to give, some of their funds back to the community. They have to fund low income housing or education, like that. And so this opportunity gives them a great benefit because they can not only meet their CRA requirements by donating to us, because we have low income kids that are in education they're helping, but they can also then get a tax credit, pretty substantial tax credit for their donation.
Right.
And so it's a win-win for them, and they really make a big difference on that. But we're also reaching out to high wealth individuals who have a tax liability that they're doing well. And for many individuals, particularly if they made a decision, if they had highly appreciated stock, for instance, in their portfolio, and they make a donation of stock to us, they don't have to then pay the capital gains tax on those taxes. And so they get the benefit of the tax credit plus avoiding paying capital gains tax. And so it's a great, kind of a double benefit for individuals who want to donate, and it's perfectly fine to donate stock to us.
Sounds like you need to also talk to CPAs so that they're aware that this is available to them, because a lot of times a business owner like myself, I don't know what all the deductions and what all the things are available. I'm relying on my CPA to tell me what's available. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. So if business leaders out there listening and in that same circumstance, I would love for you to refer your CPA to me or your folks on your tax team and your business, because I've probably in the last 6 months talked to 2,000 CPAs, connected with them on LinkedIn and sent messages to them. And I'm surprised. I'm surprised on one hand, but not so much because this is a new program. It's only been around since 2020. So, but I'm surprised at the number of people who aren't aware of this program and the tax credit benefit.
I mean,
in fact, one of the first questions I always get asked is, I get always asked, is this legitimate? Right? Yeah. Is this legit? And so, the first thing I do is send people, here's the tax code, here's the information from the state tax commission legitimizing this program. That it's something that everybody can take advantage of.
Yeah, especially when you get a cold call from somebody saying, "Hey, do you know this tax benefit?" It's like, I don't know if this is true or not, because you got scammers all over the place. Right. Yeah. So what are some of the main challenges that for your organization right now? What are you guys trying to overcome? I mean, just awareness, I guess, is one, but what is the main challenge?
Yeah, the biggest thing, one of the cool things that the state law requires, our organization, we have to give away 92% by law of all the money we raise to scholarship kids.
Oh, okay.
And so we only have an 8% overhead that we can use for administration and marketing. And so that's the challenge we have, is that our marketing budget is so small. I can only use 3% of those funds for marketing.
Oh, wow.
And so I don't have the ability to put up billboards or buy TV ads or radio ads to promote this. So opportunities like this to do kind of grassroots, marketing about this program is really helpful to us. But that's our biggest challenge is, so if any of you out there are listening and think this would be a neat opportunity, you have a friend or neighbor who, trying to figure out what to do with their highly appreciated stock, or you've got their CPA or their CFO at a company, share this information with them and have them get in touch with our organizations, share our website with them so that they can, learn more about it.
Yeah, for those that are listening, I will definitely put all of this information in my show notes so that all the links are available to your website where they can go to learn and all that kind of stuff. I'll put your name and your contact information there as well. Now, in terms of how big is your organization? When I was on your website, I saw 5 or 6. Is that how it is? I mean, how are the roles divided? You're in charge of marketing. Is that what it is? You're the executive director, but I'm not.
Yes, I'm the executive director, and and we only have three paid people on our staff. So it's myself. We have one full-time person that manages all of our scholarships and reimbursements, and then I have a part-time finance person that helps keeps me out of jail from a financial perspective. But but then we have a 6-person volunteer board of directors that helps, and their primary role is really helping to connect into the community as well. And they're all very passionate about the school choice movement as well, and that's how they get involved with us.
Yeah, and then I mean, this is a little bit of a passionate cause for you, isn't it? I mean, you've always been in the nonprofit world. When I read your bio, it seems like your whole career has been in. Talk a little bit about yourself. I mean, because we want to know who Ronnie is.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so I knew when I was 14 years old that I wanted to get into the nonprofit space. I worked at Boy Scout camp every summer and just loved doing that. Loved the service aspect of nonprofit work. And some of my heroes and mentors were professionals in the Boy Scout organization. And so When I graduated from college, I went to work for the Boy Scouts and did that for 16 years and worked in California and Colorado, Indiana, moved back to California. And then after 16 years, I left scouting. I moved to Utah. And then I worked for the Museum of Natural History at the University of Utah for a couple of years, getting their new building campaign started. And then I worked for about 5 years at the Living Planet Aquarium. And so if you've been to the aquarium and you love that space, I was involved in raising the money to make that.
Is that the weird spaceship-like structure? That's the weird spaceship-like structure right off of I-15. Yeah. When I first came to Salt Lake, I had no idea what that was. It was very unique. Right. No idea what that was.
That's a great venue, and hopefully many people have been there and seen that. And then after that, I worked for 8 years as the executive director for the Alzheimer's Association of Utah. So I've had a very broad perspective of different types of nonprofits I've worked for. I've been here with Children First for about 2 years now, and just love that aspect.
What drew you to Children's First?
So really the opportunity, my oldest son, Ben, is deaf. And so I understand the battle that families with special needs kids are fighting, and especially in trying to get the education met through public school. Yeah. There wasn't an opportunity or program like this available for my son when he was going through. He's 32 now, so he's well past that. And but I understand. I have a real passion for helping families that have special needs kids because I understand what they go through each day to do that. And so that's really what drove me to this. And the uniqueness about this organization and the unique fundraising opportunities that exist with the tax credit really caused me to think this would be a wonderful opportunity. And I just love the cause. I love focusing on education. I've other than my 8 years with the Alzheimer's Association, I've been primarily in organizations that were education related and children related. And so that's kind of been my background and my mission.
Okay. Very cool. Very cool. Well, I mean, we're kind of towards the, we're almost at the mark there. So I just wanted to kind of make this actionable for people that have been listening. If they've been, listening and they're like, oh, I want to help, or I want to be a part of it. What are 2 or 3 things that, let's say you're just an individual. I mean, obviously there's individual opportunities for giving. Telling your CPA is another way you could give, and things like that. Can you just give us a little bit of a rundown of the way in which the listening audience could participate? Can they just call you? You want to just give them your phone number? I mean,
well, yeah, they can call us. They go to our website. It's probably the easiest thing to do, and that email or website address is just CFE Children First Education -fund FUND.org. And you can get all that information on our website about our program and watch some of those cool videos about our students that we're helping. The phone number, you can reach out to me directly and ask questions. That's 801-477-0484. And I'll answer that call directly and can give you any information. But certainly, as you said, Shailesh, to connect us to people that that might be in that role of helping to advise people on their taxes and show this as a great opportunity as a way to give. I often tell people when I talk to them about donations is I'd say, I don't want your charitable dollars. If you have a favorite charity you're already supporting, keep giving your charitable dollars there. I want your tax dollars. I want you to use those money rather than sending them to the state capitol and saying to them, you spend it how you want. Send it to us and let us help kids with special needs.
Is there a minimum when you're talking about state dollars? Is there a minimum at all, or even if you have owe the government $142?
Yeah, send us $142, and we can give you that tax credit for that. We actually had gifts last year that ranged from $50 to $1.7 million. So any level. The only cap is we can only give out $5.9 million in tax credits, and so. Got it.
And so you probably have
so to do far this year.
Go ahead. So far this year,
I was going to say, so far this year, we've only raised about $100,000 towards that $5.9 million. So we're trying to get to $3 million by June 30th, if possible, so we can help those kids for next year. But there's really no limit.
So in terms of the timeline, then you definitely need to. It's too late for 2023 taxes, right? So you'd have to do it for 2024 taxes before the school year.
Correct. The state law requires you to make by the end of the year. So yeah, and honestly, we have probably 95% of our donors that contribute in the last 3 weeks of December. For that reason. They just do it right at the end of the year. But
and that
we
would
can
be based
accept
on
gifts anytime throughout.
That would be based on estimated taxes, right? Because you haven't done your 2024 taxes yet, so it'd be estimated. Okay, if you're gonna owe.
Yeah, but one interesting aspect is that the state law allows donors to, if you say you owed $5,000 this year and you actually made a donation of $10,000 this year, the law allows you to roll that excess back 1 year or forward up to 3 years. So that's an option as well. You mentioned the estimated taxes. If you overpaid by a little bit, you could take that money and roll it back to the year prior, or you roll it forward if you need it.
Oh, okay, interesting. So we'll let the CPAs work through that. But the key is they need to basically be in touch and give your donations in by the end of the year so that they can take advantage of it by then. So maybe we need to do something in early December as well, just to kind of get people
yeah, I would love to do that.
Because right now it's April and we're thinking about paying 2023 taxes right now. Well, Ronnie, I really want to thank you for taking the time to be on the show. I appreciate your energy and your enthusiasm in helping these kids and these families. I think that's really what it's all about. I know that there's all these different programs and all that kind of stuff, but helping people and making a difference in their lives and making the burden a little bit easier for folks that are already faced with a challenge. I think that's the big picture here. So thank you very, very much for your work, and anything we can do to support you, it'd be great. So we'll
appreciate you having me on.
Thank you, Ronnie. If you're a small business owner, a marketer in a company, or an entrepreneur, this podcast is for you. You'll become better educated and informed when it comes to digital marketing. And if you implement the strategies, tactics, and tools I discuss in this podcast, your business will grow and prosper. To subscribe, go to corneryourmarketpodcast.com. That again is corneryourmarketpodcast.com. You can also search for Corner Your Market in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcast, and you can subscribe through those apps. Also, don't forget to like and share our individual episodes. You can also leave a review. Finally, I would love to hear from you, so if you have any questions, feedback, or general comments about the topics I discuss, feel free to send me an email. I will be sure to share and discuss your feedback on the air if it will benefit our listening audience. You can write to me at connect@corneryourmarketpodcast.com. Just put listener comment in the subject line. That email again is connect@corneryourmarketpodcast.com. Thanks for listening. I look forward to being back next week. Until then, be good and do good.